3D Boxing's here with Texas Boxing Scene. We're here with our guest, Dinamita, Ramon Cardenas. First thing I got to say, as a Mexican, that's a big nickname to live up to. How did that nickname come about? And after that, what do you got going on September 15th?
I mean the nickname really it was I got it off of Juan Manuel Marquez, my favorite fighter of kind of all time. That's the kind of guy that you know I kind of our careers kind of going the same in a sense. My career and his career kind of went the same. He kind of had to work his way to the top. When he was coming up, you had Barrera, you had Morales, you had Pacquiao, you had those guys, and everybody was kind of dodging, Juan Manuel, and nobody really wanted to fight him. He was too much of a big risk and no reward type of thing. So that's kind of what kind of brought me to, like, in a sense, Juan Manuel. But yeah, that's basically the nickname. How I got the nickname, how I chose my nickname. On September 15th, man, I have a real big fight with I think his name's Rafael
Yeah,
Pedraza from Panama, here in
yeah.
San Antonio.
How much do you know about him? Uh,
Uh, Nothing much, man. I mean, I saw a little bit of tape, but I don't see the point of looking at too much tape because everybody, every fight's different, man. No fighter's ever gonna go in there trying to fight the same way they fought their last fight. And I've always said that if you go in there um gonna try to fight the same style you did your last fight, something's going on. Something, whether it be your trainer, whether it be yourself, something's going on that needs to change.
your opponent, he's a touted guy, but he hasn't fought much outside of his home country of Panama. If he's fought at it all, he's got a decent win in 2023 in January over Hugo Berrio, who fought Ronnie Rios once. It's kind of the only name on his resume. Like I said, there's not much out there on him. How's camp going, and how's it going? Preparing for someone like that.
Oh, camp's good, man. I mean, I kind of never really stopped training. I was still in the gym. I wasn't going too hard because injuries and stuff. When you go too crazy, I guess injuries you're gonna catch up to you. Um, but yeah, man, I had stayed in the gym and everything. Right now, I was just kind of like tightening down on training. Training's been going great. Um, it's like like I said, it's gonna be another day in the office. Like always, I always train hard and I always do my best when it comes to the fight. And I mean, the guy, he has a good record on paper. You would see his record, you're like, oh, it's good. But then you look at the opponents he's fought, and you look at the opponents that they fought, then you start seeing, oh well, the record doesn't really. I mean, it adds up in a sense of why he's 15-0. And you, like I said, you see the people he's fought, and you kind of like, makes sense. If
Yeah, he
that's how.
doesn't have the most impressive resume. Although there are people behind him who obviously think he's good. He's getting this chance. He's coming into your hometown to fight on a Showtime card in the main event. What's that like? I mean, we're gonna get into your path to the top, but what's that like? Like, now you've arrived. Like, here's your moment, and not only is it your moment, it's in your city. What's that like?
Man, it's really, my career is coming around like full circle, 180 degrees. It's finally, I'm being able to kind of, like I tell people all the time, my career is finally starting. I've had 23 fights already, and finally I get my big break on TV, on Showtime, on a big card. um like me as the main event. I've been on cards before, like, as on the prelims and stuff, but I'm finally the main event. I'm finally gonna be able to show, like, who I am as a fighter, and people are gonna, like, kind of like, oh man, this kid is good. He's actually pretty good. I've heard of him, but now I can see he's actually pretty good. So, like I said, my career's finally coming around. Uh, People are finally gonna be able to know who I am and see like I said, who I am as a fighter. So that's what I'm, mainly excited for.
You fought last year. It was at the Alamo Dome, right? When you fought
Yeah.
Benquez on the PBC
Mm-hmm.
card, and you looked really, really good in that fight. That was at 118. I want to talk about the
118.
weight movement just a moment. That was at 18. You looked really good in that fight. It had a big audience. How important was that fight in your career? And do you think that fight is ultimately what got you, the bigger fights?
That fight was it was weird, if that makes sense, because I felt good, but at the time, I'm not gonna name no names, but at the time um I my managers at the time wanted me to go here and go here and go there, and there was no stability when it came to training. It was always kind of um here and there. They wanted
Did
me
you
to go to.
train in San Antonio for that, or were you still in?
Yeah, I trained in San
Okay.
Antonio for that fight, but I was like I said, man, I was kind of like my managers wanted to send me here, they wanted to send me there, to Vegas, to Jersey, to LA, and then I kind of had no stability. If that makes sense. So um I was kind of like, I felt good, but I didn't feel as great as I did, my past fights or even my last fight. I felt like I felt just very like drained mentally going into that fight, and it did open up a lot of doors in a sense, but it didn't really change, it didn't really change my career at that point in time. Um, so that's kind of one of those things where, um, like I said, man, it's just as simple as it was a big fight, it was a big opportunity, but it didn't change my career. My career stayed the same. It just basically was another win. You know, that's really what it was.
And I thought you looked good. You don't seem like you were thrilled with your performance. I thought you beat a really good opponent. I know you didn't
Yeah.
get a knockout, but I thought it was, at least an A or an A minus performance. I thought it was good. Like, were you not thrilled with your performance that night?
Uh, I mean, I was happy with it because because of everything on the outside that was happening. I was happy. Okay, we beat this guy. We're on to the next. And he had just came off beating a dude named Patel from Great Britain. Then he ended up
Yep.
beating some Cuban Olympian. So the guy was coming in and he was confident. So for me to kind of stop that train and be like, oh, wait up, I'm not the type of guys. I'm not the guys you fought before. Um, you're not just gonna run me over like you've been doing to everybody else. So it was a really like a confidence booster really to beat this guy, and like and it's not, I'm not knocking the guy or anything, but I beat him at like 60% of what I really could do. I beat him like at 60%. If I felt the way I felt my last fight versus him, there's no way he goes by 3 rounds. There's no way. Like I know for a fact I would have stopped him. But
I want I want to get into your performance before that because you told me for a while that you were going to go from 122 to 118. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't really believe that you could make 118, right? Because you're
mhm,
you're a big dude. 118 guys are generally pretty small, right?
yeah,
And you made 118, and you did really well there. Before that fight, you fought in Florida, and you fought a guy named Marvin Solano, and you got a
Marvin.
really posterizing like highlight reel knockout. Talk about that performance and walk us through that knockout.
See that that one was good, man, because it was like for my first big title. It was for the WBA Continental Americas title, and so I was very motivated, and training had been stable. Training the trainer I was with, I had been working with them for a couple months, so we were already kind of used to each other, and we hit it off very well. So the training was stable, and at that time I was I had a diet. It was kind of, I had a meal preps, and I kind of had stability. Like I said, it's all about the lack of stability that I've had. With at that time with trainers, and so I finally had some stability. So I was able to make 118 way healthier. I was able to eat properly, and I was able to to do these things properly, and it was like I felt strong. Like I said, the Michel Banquez fight was a fight that um I didn't really feel my best at, man. And like you said, I mean, it was for fans, for people who know boxing, because people see, oh, Michel Banquez threw way more punches than Ramon. But it's like, look at the fight and look at how many punches are actually landed and actually touched me. There was none. There was punches that landed, but let's say out of a 6 punch combination that he threw, one landed, and I would throw 3 punches and I would land two of them. You
Yeah.
know, um, and so I felt like I told you, man. Like it all kind of goes back around to um, I was I was originally planned to they were gonna, oh, we're gonna send you to Vegas, and then we're gonna send you to LA, and then we're gonna send you to Houston, and like, so like I said, man, it was a big wake up call for me in my career to kind of say, hey, I'm gonna take my career by the just take control of my career in a sense, if that, so that's what I did.
Now you're training with Chato Martinez,
Hmm.
back in your home city, and we talked about, this fight's going to be at 22. You had those two wins that we just talked about, which I thought were like, the two best wins of your career,
Hmm.
at 18. What weight do you feel more comfortable at, 18 or 22, and where can we expect to see you at in the future?
So I feel, like I said, man, I feel a little bit better at 822. Those extra 4 pounds that I don't have to lose, kind of, it's kind of better. And so, this fight's gonna be for the WBA Continental Americas title, but at 22 this time. It's gonna be the same belt that I won before, but it's just gonna be at a higher weight class. And winning this belt puts me in the rankings. Again, it puts me back in the WBA rankings, and it's at 22. If I could, like I said, like I've told people before, man, I'm not running from the champions. I'm not trying to duck and dodge nobody. This fight presented itself, and the first 10-30 minutes of the fight presenting itself, I had said yes. I said,
Yeah,
yeah, I want to fight the guy. Luckily, the fight's gonna happen in my hometown. So originally, it was supposed to be planned in Philly, Philadelphia, and then they said, hey, we're actually gonna make it in San Antonio. So I was like, perfect. It's even
even
better.
better.
And so that, I think at 22, I feel a little bit better.
And
But like I said, if I get ranked at 22 and they tell me, hey, the title for 118, they want you to fight for it, then I'm right back down to 118.
118 is an interesting division because you had, in a way, Nawe, his brother, has a belt now at 18.
Yeah.
Vacate all the belts. You kind of look at the world champions at 118 like, I don't want to say those guys are easy, but I can beat those guys. Because you got
Yeah.
Maloney, you got the other, in a way, you got some guys there who kind of got vacant belts. Like, I'm not saying they aren't good fighters, they are, but you look at those guys like, I can pick them off. I can get a belt at 18.
Yeah, I do, man. I mean, um, the the 118 pound division right now, it's gonna be good because I feel like these guys at 118, I feel like they got nothing to lose fighting each other. The champions don't have nothing to lose. Uh, which like people kind of, they're gonna try to run away from Inoue. People are trying to, like, which I respect Stephen Fulton so much, because this is a guy who
Yeah.
who wanted to fight him in his backyard and said, "Hey, I'll fight him in Tokyo. I don't care where I'll fight him, but I'll fight him." And people are running away from him. These guys that were 118, that were ranked number one, they didn't want to fight him. They were like, "We'll just wait for him to go up the division, and then we'll fight for the vacant belts." Um, so I think these guys now are going to be like, well, Inoue's not around, so let's fight each other. Let's unify. Let's try to do these things, and I think that's when I'm going to come in and kind of take their belts and shit, even be undisputed at 118. That would be cool. That would be a dream come true right there.
I talked to you when you were still at 118, when Inoue was also at 118, and you were highly ranked. Was it the WBA at that time? I
Hmm.
guess. And you're like, yeah, like I'm one win away from fighting Inoue. Um, what did you think of his performance against Fulton, and would you be open to fighting him at 22? And then
I
how
think
would you fight him?
I think he did good, man. I mean, I think he did what a lot of people thought he wasn't gonna do. He made Stephen Fulton look like a weak champion, and we all know Stephen Fulton is not a weak champion. This guy is a guy who can fight, and I was in the amateurs with Stephen Fulton. We were in the same brackets together. Um, this is a guy who could fight, and in a way made him
Made
look
him look
like bad,
ordinary. Yeah.
made him look ordinary. And I think with the Inoue, man, I mean, a guy like Inoue, the way I would fight him, and this is just myself, would be to kind of like do what he does, try to mimic what he does, because a lot of people kind of try to uh, uh um they're scared. They're scared. That's really what it is. They're scared of him, and it's like you can't go in there scared. Like it's any guy can get knocked out any given day, man. People like, for example, Mike Tyson. Prime Mike Tyson before Buster Douglas. This
Got
guy
knocked out. Yeah.
would knock you out one round, and everybody was scared. Everybody was scared of Mike Tyson going in. But that one guy who showed Mike Tyson that he wasn't scared of him ended up knocking him out. Changed his whole career. Buster Douglas ultimately changed Mike Tyson's career. He kind of made sure, he made people know that Mike Tyson's not invincible. And so I think it would be the same situation with Inoue. It would be to go in there and show him, hey man, I'm not scared of you. Like if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out on my shield, or I'm gonna if I can catch you with a good punch, then you're gonna go out because he's a small guy. Inoue
Yeah.
is not a big guy; he's a small guy, and I think like I said, at 22, I think bigger guys will catch up. The weight class will catch up to him.
Full disclosure, I picked Fulton to win that fight because I just thought in a way was
Yeah,
going
I
to be
saw
too
your post.
small
I
to
saw
go
your
up
post.
another weight class. I was wrong.
Fulton's a big guy. Even
Yeah.
Fulton, I saw him in Vegas, and I don't know whether he was wearing, the those big boots, like those tennis shoes
Yeah.
with the big old grip.
No,
I think they're like
Fulton's a big guy.
Balenciagas.
Like, yeah, he was talking about going to 26. So that's what I was like.
Yeah,
You got a big guy against, in a ways now in his, he skipped 112, but he's technically like in his fifth weight class. Like, all right, there's too many weight classes. I'm going to pick Fulton. And in a way,
yeah.
was that good. I want to ask you about one other thing, one other rumor that popped up earlier in 2023.
What's up?
You were supposed to be linked, or allegedly, rumor had it, a little birdie told me, that you were linked to fight Hector Valdez from my neck of the woods in Dallas. Was there any truth to that, or was that something that was just made up?
Yeah, that's true, man. Uh, I was supposed to fight him on the what card was it? It was a card over there in Fantasy Springs Casino,
It was a Golden Boy card, right?
Golden Boy card.
Yeah.
Yes. That fight didn't happen. It fell off like literally the last 2 weeks. The He had an eye injury. Um, Allegedly, I don't know how true that is. I'm not gonna say nothing bad about it, but supposedly he had an eye injury, so he couldn't fight, and so that's when I ended up fighting Rodrigo Guerrero here in San Antonio. It was kind of like I was last minute, it was
Yeah.
legit a last minute thing. My manager at the time, and I got a new manager and stuff, and he kind of was like, "Hey, well, let's try to put Ramon on. He's been training. Let's put him on a card here in San Antonio or wherever we can put him." So luckily, Alvino Valles from Boxers and Brawlers Promotions gave me the opportunity to fight here, and everything kind of worked out, for the best.
And that was a cool atmosphere. It was outdoors. It was a big crowd for a local show. Talk about that. Because you got the knockout. You looked really good. But that was a cool. Was it hot in there for you? I mean, it was hot that day, but that was a
No,
cool
I
little
mean,
atmosphere they had there.
weirdly, man, it wasn't that hot for me because the sun was going down. For the other guys, it
Yeah.
was kind of hot because the first I was the third bout, which I'm lucky because I kind of wanted to. I hate being main events. That if that no, let's just put it this way, right?
You
I
better get
like
used
being
to it
main.
because you're going to be the main event a lot in the future.
Right, yeah. So I like being main events because you're the star of the show, but I hate being main events because you gotta wait so long.
To
I
fight. It's
I
true.
hate I hated
Yeah.
it. Like, and then I like to kind of like when I'm done fighting, I like to be able to go out and eat with my family and my friends and everybody who went to support me. But by the time I'm done, it's already 11:30, 12 o'clock, and restaurants are closed. And so it kind of
Yeah.
sucks. That's the only thing I don't like about it. But other than that, man, I mean, it was really nice. It was a good show. A lot of people showed out. I ended up selling around like 3,500 worth of tickets, within like a week, like not
Yeah.
even like 4 days, 4 days that I was announced to be on the card. I ended up selling, almost like $4,000 worth of tickets. So that was really good. Family, friends, and just fans came to show out. So, it kind of, it was a really good atmosphere, man. And it was cool seeing the kids that I kind of grew up with, the little kids that I saw them grow up, be on the card, and they show out for themselves, build their careers.
I want to go back to early in your career. San Antonio has produced so many good young fighters right around your age, right?
Yeah.
So many good young fighters. Um, and they all kind of got big promotional deals. Barrios, Franco, Bam Rodriguez, even guys like Goyo got in with Golden Boy. But no one wanted to sign you. You kind of had to build this thing up yourself. Were you like, what about me? Like all these guys are getting signed. Like I'm just as good as these guys. What about me?
Hmm.
And B, was it ever depressing to you? Did it ever get you down that all these guys who I know you're friends with, but they were
Hmm.
all getting signed, they were all getting these big fights, and like you're having to do it all by yourself?
I mean, weirdly or not, man. I mean, I always kind of, how would I say it? I knew that eventually I was gonna get there, because whatever's supposed to happen is gonna happen. And I knew that I was destined to be where I'm at now. I feel like I was gonna get there just eventually. It wasn't my time at that time, and like I said in the interview before, man. Um, I'm not gonna try to. I never wanted to take shine for anybody else. I never wanted to like talk smack about one guy to get where I wanted to be now. No one can ever say, "Oh, Ramon burned me to get to where he's at," because ultimately I didn't have, like you said, I didn't have the same deals that they have. I didn't have Golden Boy or Top Rank, PBC, or all these promotions looking at me until now. And I finally got a really really good manager, man. And the manager that I'm with, he's a really connected guy, and that's mainly why or how I got this opportunity was my manager said, "Hey, man, we're already there. We just need to find the right fight for you, so you could show people who you are, show people who we are." And so now that I'm getting this opportunity, it's kind of one of those things where winning this fight, winning this belt, I'm gonna have all the promoters in the back of my pocket. If that makes sense, I
Yeah.
get to choose. I could. It's like a kid in the candy store. I get to choose who I want to go with, and so that's what I'm excited for, because it's gonna take everything's gonna be full circle again. Now it's not so much me reaching out to promoters. Sorry, me reaching out to the promoters. They're gonna be reaching out to us
Good.
and be like, "Hey, who is this kid? We want to sign him." And kind of you have more leverage when it comes to that.
It's worked out. Now you're free to sign whoever you want and take whatever. You're not locked into anything. Now
Hmm.
you get to choose. Well, take me back. 2015, you turned pro. You're about 18, 19 years old at that
19.
time. You
Yeah.
turned pro in Mexico. Talk me through the early parts of your career, because you got to fight on one of those Leija Patah cards in your home city. Walk me through the early part of your career.
I mean, it was the funnest part, if that makes sense. That's when I was kind of um, I turned pro in Piedras Negras, and it was fun. It was fun, and then I ended up fighting my second fight. I ended up fighting here in San Antonio, and it was funny because when I was in the amateurs, you don't get paid, and so then I started making a little bit of money. I'll never forget. I made $500 for my pro debut. I made $500, and I went to the mall and I had told myself I'm gonna buy myself something nice. Like I'm gonna go buy myself something nice. I ended up buying some glasses, some sunglasses for $350. And you're talking about in 2015, $350
Yeah.
in 2015 is more money than $350 now.
What were they? Pradas or what were they?
No, they were a Carrera, the Carrera
Okay.
ones. They were some nice the Carrera glasses, and I ended up buying that after my pro debut, and I was like, man, I'm balling right now. I have some Carrera glasses and stuff, and it was like I said, it was fun. I guess when you're starting your career, it becomes very fun. It's just fun, man, because it still feels fresh. Everything feels fresh. You don't know the business, and you don't know how the business can be, because the business is the main thing of a lot of boxers, man. A lot of boxers get out of boxing because of the business aspect of it. If I wasn't mentally strong like I am, bro, I would have been out of boxing. I would have been retired. I would have said, yo, I'm out of this. Like I'm not. I'd rather just go get a job to be dealing with the headaches that I'm dealing with, or not having money, or just be struggling just in your career in general. But I was lucky enough to have a father that always installed like mental toughness, and always supported me and always helped me and guided me to kind of keep up my career and kind of just focus on just boxing. You know, I didn't go to school. I didn't go to school. I didn't get a career. I didn't get a an education. I went to high school and stuff, but I didn't go to college to get an education to. So I knew I needed to really focus on boxing and really just say, hey, there's people who've had it worse than me, you know,
Yeah.
and they've still made it. So I just forged through, man. I just kept with it, and I just kept going, and it was just like I said, man. It was those stepping stones in my life, not just my career, but just my life, helped me as a person kind of grow and say, you know, tough times, like Floyd says, man, tough times don't last, but tough people do. And so that, you know, that's my main thing was just forging on, pushing through. I didn't care where I had to fight or where, what, how much I got paid or anything like that. But I just knew that I had to keep pushing, and so everything kind of paid off. Now, you know.
So we fast forward to 2018. You get a really good win over Ramsey Luna in a card that promotion, and then it's promoted with a good crowd. 2019, you come back, you get a win on a PBC card, you pick up another win, and then the pandemic hits. Right when your career really seems to get going, right? You got some good
Mhm.
wins, you're getting some exposure, then the pandemic hits you out of the ring 12, 14 months, whatever it was. How frustrating was that, and how'd you keep yourself motivated when there was no boxing going on?
Uh, I mean, during the pandemic, man, that probably was the hardest for everybody. You know, mentally, it was very challenging for just not just me, but for everybody, man. For me, it was more like I knew I wasn't the only one going through it. That makes sense. I knew that I wasn't the only one, man. So I kind of that's the way I saw it. I saw it that way. I knew, and at the time I was living in DC when the pandemic had just started. Over there, it started like in March, I believe.
Yeah,
Like
March of
when stuff
2020. Yeah,
started closing down, it was in March in DC, and then I kind of just at the time we were training still. We were still like meeting up to go to the park and we'd work out. No boxing, you know. It was just all
yeah.
conditioning, all just running, and we all just we kind of kept each other motivated at the time when I was in DC, and then I ended up coming back, and then it was like difficult because like I said, like there was no when you're gonna fight, and then I was supposed to fight what's his name? His name's they call him Canelito. Forgot his name. He lost to Stephen Fulton, and then uh I was supposed to fight him on a Charlo card in September. Then
Of
I ended
of
up getting
2020. Yeah,
yeah, and then I ended up getting COVID. Like the fight week, I
that's
told I
right.
told I told my trainer at the time, Barry. I told Barry Hunter, I was like, "Yo, my head hurts," and he was like, and I had just took the exam the day before, and I told him my head hurts. Like I don't really like, I don't know, my head hurts. Like something's up. So then he
And that's
called.
that is Isaac Avalar, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, Isaac Avelar, exactly. And so I ended up getting COVID literally that Wednesday of the fight week because I was supposed to leave Thursday to New Hampshire. I think it was New Hampshire when they were doing the fights, and then I ended up getting COVID. So that's talking about September, and then I didn't end up fighting till February. So yeah, it was kind of a wow, man. That you know, but it's like I said though, everybody went through it. So you know, I can't
Yeah.
really, in a sense, feel bad for myself. Everybody went through it. I wasn't the only one, and that's how I saw it. You know,
You come back from the pandemic nights. You've gotten about 5 straight wins since then, right? Five or
from
six
the
wins.
pandemic. So I fought
A couple
the
times 2021, 2022, 2023. You got about 5 wins.
yeah 5 yeah.
And now you got yourself this. September 15th, um, home Techport, the Boeing Techport Center,
Yeah.
right in your hometown. You're the main event, Showtime. Is this a dream come true? I mean, this is what you dreamed about as a kid, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, weirdly, yeah, because it's gonna be able to be my first, you know, big title. Because I've won other little smaller titles like the ABF title and the NABA title. Those are smaller titles. And the only WBA belt that I won it in Florida. So I wasn't really able to enjoy it with my fans and friendly family and fans and all that stuff. But hope training hard. I know I'll be able to win this fight, and I'm gonna win a title, a big title, in front of everybody, my family, my friends, and the people who kind of supported me from day one, who went to my pro debut, who went to my second fight, my third fight, my fourth fight, my fifth fight, that were here in San Antonio and stuff like that, who were able to go to those fights. It's gonna be good to win a title in front of them, and then be able to hold a title, and it's like I said, it's gonna be a big title that's gonna put me back into the rankings and stuff like that. So yeah, man, I'm very excited and very happy for that whole trip in a sense.
A win there does put you, I don't know where in the top 10, but it'll certainly put you in the top 10 at 122.
Hmm.
All of the belts at 122 are held by two people. Inoue has two of them. Tapales has two of them. Assuming you do win, assuming you are ranked, somewhere in the top 10, once you're in the top 10, it all gets super political. Who would you want to fight? Is there anyone, who would you want to fight next, assuming everything goes well on September 15th?
Sure, if I could fight that champion with the WBA champion, what's his name?
Tapales?
Yeah, I'll fight him. Like I said, man, I'm not ducking and dodging nobody. At this point in my career, I think anybody who has over 20 fights shouldn't be ducking and dodging nobody, or picking and choosing who they want to fight. I think if you're ranked if you're ranked in any organization in the top 10, there's no reason why you should be ducking or dodging anybody. You should be able to fight anybody. You as a fighter should be like, man, I'll fight anybody. I don't care who it is. I'll fight anybody. And for example, the Hector Valdez fight that presented itself, and the first day I said yes. I said, okay, cool, I'll fight him. I fought him in the amateurs. I
I was
already
going to ask you,
know.
Texas, you're both around the same age. I mean, do you know Hector? Do you know him fairly well?
Yeah, I knew him. I had fought him in 2010. I had like 20 fights, and he already had won
He
national
had a
titles,
deep
silver
amateur
glove,
career, yeah.
silver gloves, and all that stuff. And I had like 20 fights, and I lost a 3-2 decision to him. At the time, it was five judges, and
Yeah.
I lost a 3-2 decision to him. And then I ended up fighting him again in 2011, and I ended up beating him. And I after that, I knew that that my level was already, like, I already had surpassed him. And it's like I said, I'm not talking smack. I'm not saying that the guy's a bad fighter. No, he's a good fighter. Um, I respect what he's done in his career. But I've done more already, and I've done it in the shade. I've won titles. I've already
Yeah.
been ranked in the WBA, IBF, WBO, WBC. I've already done that. Nobody knows about it. Like I said here in the interview, the guy was like, "Oh, we should see you fighting for a title here soon." I told him, you might not know me. A lot of people don't know me, but I've been ranked in the top three, in the top 10 in
Two,
the
right?
WBA. Yeah, and for
Yeah.
the last 3 years. The last 3 years, I've been ranked in the WBA, WBO, the IBF, WBC for the last 3 years. I just haven't, like you said, politics.
It
They
gets
pick and
real
choose.
political at the top. It gets real political at the
Yeah,
top.
man. I mean, yeah, and it's like I said, like last couple of weeks ago, man. You had and this is not. I'm not again. This is not talking smack. I'm not saying nothing. But you had Donaire fighting for a title after coming off a loss. So it's kind of like, how did he get?
He's got the
How did
name
he
power. He's got PBC behind him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's, it's one of those things where I was waiting for 3 years for a title shot, and I never
Yeah,
got
you
it.
could have retired Donaire, right? I mean, you could have got the paycheck, the title,
I
and
would
retired Donaire.
I would have done that. I would have happily done that. I mean, Donaire is a Hall of Famer, man, and if he comes back and he wants to fight again, man, I'll be willing to fight him. And it's like I
But
said, man. At this point of our careers, we shouldn't be picking and choosing who you want to fight. You can do that when you're 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, when you're a 20-year-old kid that you barely building a career. But I think when you get to a certain age and to a certain point of in your career, there's no picking and choosing who you want to fight. It's fight whoever's next.
you're 27 now, so you're just hitting your physical prime, right? Just hitting your physical peak.
Hmm.
You're with Chato Martinez now. Um, are you ready now? I mean, do you think anybody, if you got a world title fight next, you ready?
Yeah, yeah, of course, man. I had spoke to my manager, man, and I kind of told him, hey, this guy that I know the WBC gives you a voluntary defense. Uh, Alejandro, what's his name? Forgot his last name, but the guy who just beat Donaire. If he wants to do
Santiago. Yeah.
if he wants Santiago, right? If he wants to do a voluntary defense, I'll be willing to step in with him. And like I said, man, I know that the people, if they say let's do it, I know I'll become world champion this year, easy, and I'll fight. I'll try to unify it ASAP. I'll try to unify ASAP. That's my main goal is to just unify. That would be right there. If I can win a title this year, you would see me unify next year automatically. I'm not gonna try to fight this guy or fight that guy and say, hey, well, I did 10 defenses in my title versus the guys who are just nobodies.
Nobody's. Yeah.
I would like to fight, Jason Maloney. I would like to fight the winner of um this fight coming up this weekend. What's his name? The Melvin Lopez. No, what's his
Melvin
name?
Lopez. Yeah. Melvin Lopez.
Yeah, and then the other guy, the Manny Rodriguez. So if I were to get a title, I would want to fight those guys. Unify right away. Let's
That's
do it.
back at 118, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That fight would be at 118.
So the next step, obviously, September 15th in your home city, Techport Center. Any predictions? Any thoughts? What can we expect from you on September 15th?
I mean, I really couldn't tell you, man. um, like this last fight with Rodrigo Guerrero, I thought he was gonna be a little bit more durable guy, and I ended up stopping him in the second. It was one of those things where I didn't really. I went out there and I felt good, man. Like, it was crazy. I felt super good. I was hitting him, and I had spoke to him after the fight, and he told me he was like, "Man, like." He's like, you hit fucking hard. He's like, you hit hard. Like, I stopped it myself because I knew, like, I want to fight a couple more times, but I knew if I were to go the 6 rounds with you, you were gonna hurt me. Like, you were gonna hurt me more. So I kind of and he's like, I kind of knew we are gonna take that time off my career. So I think with this guy, man, I think he's never fought anybody like me where that knows what they're doing. He could say, "Oh, I fought this guy," but like I said, if you go look at the records, man, you would see that the guys that he fought, they're all the records that they have are built up. They're fighting South American guys.
You were linked to Melvin Lopez at one point for a fight, were
Hmm.
you not? I
Yeah, I was
thought so.
supposed
And
to.
now he's fighting for a world title. I don't want to say he dodged you, but can you? Oh, what happened? Because I remember he was ranked 1 and you were ranked 2 or something
He was
like
ranked three,
that.
and I was ranked four.
That's what it was.
It
Yeah.
was 3 and 4. So what happened was I ended up hurting my hand, man. I was sparring in Florida, and I was sparring a guy that didn't really want to to change. He didn't really want to do nothing. So I was chasing him down, and the guy was moving. I threw a hook, and I caught him on the top of the head, like right here, boom, because he was kind of going under, and I caught him on top of the head, and I ended up fracturing my hand. And I was pretty upset because I'm like, dude,
You
I
were.
shouldn't have been sparring the guy because the guy
Yeah.
didn't want to like do nothing. The guy was just moving, and I'm like, bro, like I had told my trainer at the time, I was like, bro, I shouldn't have sparred that dude. The guy's not gonna help me. He's just moving the whole time, so there's nothing to really be helped with.
Yeah.
If I,
Yeah.
and so I ended up fracturing my hand, and then I was supposed to end up fighting him again in and that fight moved from March all the way till December at the KO for Drugs at the WBA KO for Drugs show in 2022. But then I was just having like shoulder pain. I was having shoulder. Turns out I checked in an MRI. Turns out I had two tendons that were inflamed because your rotator cuff is made up of four tendons.
Yeah.
I had two of them that were inflamed.
So yeah.
So
Did that
that
require surgery, or is it just something you got to rest, or what?
no, it was just resting, man.
Yeah.
Because I was just using it and using it, and I think as a fighter, you kind of work through these pains until you get older. When you get older, you kind of start realizing that, oh schmack, I should have paid attention to my shoulder. I should have paid attention to the pains that were bothering me. and I just ended up really taking some like some pills and stuff, and that helped me for the inflammation and things like that. But yeah, it was just really just rehab as well. We did a lot of rehab, so now I'm good. Now my shoulder's good. But that's really what happened, man. That with that fight was just it just fell through due to
Injuries and things like
injuries and
that.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Back September 15th. Looking forward to it. I'll be out there to support you. Ramon Cardenas, thank you for your time. It was
Thank
an
you so
honor and a
much, my
privilege
brother.
to
Thank
have
you
you
for
on.
having me, man.
Of course. Tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
On social media, man, Instagram, Dinamita Cardenas. On Facebook, Ramon Dinamita Cardenas. On Twitter, I mean, I have a Twitter, man, but I don't really use it. It's the same thing, Dinamita Cardenas, I believe. I don't really use Twitter. I just kind of use Twitter for news. Stuff.
And it's X now, right? It's called X now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. X. Sorry. Sorry.
It's all
Yeah, on
good.
X. On X, I just use it for news. That's one thing I like about, like, social media now is you can kind of like certain social media pages you kind of use them for news.
Yeah.
X is one of those ones that they have a lot of fake news, but they have real, the news. Some of it's true, so I like kind of keeping up with that. And then that's really it, man. That's all the social medias I have is just Twitter, Instagram, well, X, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Appreciate it, champ. God bless. Looking forward to
Thank you,
September
man. Thank you for
15th.
having me.
Absolutely.